Welcome back. More than 250 migrants, part of a group intercepted aboard a dinghy off the coast in the Mediterranean Sea, were rescued in the central Mediterranean on Christmas Day at the port of Malaga, Spain. The migrants, in one large rubber dinghy and two smaller boats, were rescued in three missions by two ships, one from a non-governmental organization. The migrant arrivals to Italy have fallen by 2/3 year-on-year since July, after officials working for the UN-backed government in Tripoli put pressure on people smugglers to stop the boats from leaving. Well, the World Bank expects economic growth in Sub-Saharan Africa of 2.6% this year, expanding to 3.2% in 2018 and 3.5% a year later. The slight rebound has been driven by a recovery in oil production in Nigeria, higher public spending in Angola, and the fading of drought effects in South Africa.
After registering the worst decline in more than decades in 2016, Africa's economy was on a rebound, with GDP growth up 2.6% this year compared to 1.3% in 2016. Economies in Sub-Saharan Africa were helped by higher commodity prices, but analysts warned that the continent needs to do more to boost per capita income and create jobs. According to the World Bank's Africa's Pulse biannual analysis on the state of African economy, Sub-Saharan Africa's economies were hit by lower commodity prices, which has slowed growth, slashed government revenues, and weakened several of the currencies on the continent.
Our countries need to strengthen and deepen the macro and structural reforms to sustain growth in the long run. These reforms would have to include the strengthening of institutions for private sector growth.
In Africa's biggest economy, Nigeria, a recession continued to bite, leading to protests. For most of 2017, Nigeria battled with a currency crisis brought on by low oil prices, which tipped its economy into recession and created chronic dollar shortages. Annual inflation is at 17%, and the United Nations estimates that 70% of the population live on $1 a day, a situation that prompted widespread anger over the handling of the economy.
I'm an ordinary Nigerian. I'm an oppressed Nigerian. I'm a frustrated Nigerian because the system is not working. At some point, we must ask ourselves that what has caused us to be in this present state? Is it because Nigerians are not talking enough? Is it because the leaders have the power to keep oppressing us? No, it is simple, because Nigerians are indifferent. And our indifference gets to an extent where we need to find expression.
In Ghana, a major exporter of oil, gold and cocoa, President Nana Akufo-Addo announced that the country will not extend its 3-year aid program with the International Monetary Fund beyond April 2018. The country is currently under a $918 million aid program with IMF to restore fiscal balance to an economy dogged by large deficits, high public debt and sluggish growth.
We have to continue to work to bring down the cost of borrowing, to enable businesses to have access to much needed credit. It is my hope and expectation that these statistics will soon translate into tangible benefits in the lives of Ghanaians.
A sluggish economy and a drought that drove food prices higher made life difficult for many Zambians this year, as the country felt the effects of a drop in demand for copper that has in turn left the economy struggling.
The cost of living in Zambia has actually risen so high that usually I find myself spending more than 50% of my income just to travel to and from work.
In neighboring Zimbabwe, the country's ongoing political and economic woes culminated in a cash shortage that forced people desperate for money to camp along pavements, sleeping in bank queues as they wait to access their savings. Cash shortages also saw banks impose daily maximum withdrawal for most Zimbabweans of sometimes as little as $50 per day.
The crisis is basically a crisis of confidence. There is very little confidence in the economy in general and in the financial sector, in the banks in particular. And this is shown by the dearth of new cash deposits into the system.
Analysts project Sub-Saharan Africa economic growth to pick up in 2018, led by Nigeria and South Africa, the continent's two top economies.
In the spirit of giving this Yuletide, Nigerians are sharing love to the needy in their society in Delta, Cross River and River State. Some people went out and about to ensure those who do not have are not left out of the celebrations.
Everyone loves surprises, and for those who do not, you certainly won't find them amongst these women of Sankwala village in a Banliku local government area of Cross River State. They are aged, and most of them widows. Their reason for singing and dancing is appreciation of gifts from a member of the community who surprised them by calling them together to give out items including rice and clothing.
I was not even hoping of this. In fact, wonderful. It's too much. It's too much. I'm very happy. I am very happy, and everybody here is happy.
The Good Samaritan gives a reason for his altruism.
Once you're born, you're no longer your mother's or father's child. You're everybody's child. And you never can tell one of them may have contributed one way or the other. So what can we do rather than to come home to say thank you?
In River State, around Gambia Street, little do the people know someone is about to come bearing gifts. It's food and medicine for perfect strangers. The poor in that area, visited by the River State chapter of the National Youth Council, assisted by a private foundation.
So you can actually see how hungry people really are. So if we love them and we can't actually give them something by showing that we actually love them, then it's not love.
This orphanage in Asaba, the capital of Delta State, is about to be paid a visit by yet other well-meaning Nigerians. As the gifts are brought out, the children are excited at getting gifts, even this little Batman.
I feel happy because they have come together to share with us and to give us something to use to celebrate for our Christmas.
This Christmas is very special to me because so many people are coming to visit us, to celebrate with us, unlike other times. So I feel so happy about it, and I like seeing that.
The Reverend Sister who cares for these orphans couldn't be more grateful.
It's only when God plants the love in people's hearts that people will be able to think of the orphans. Many have a lot, but they cannot give. It is not because of anything, but there are some people that God has chosen to receive this blessing. That is how I believe. So when I see like that, I appreciate them, and my heart is always full of joy.
The giver explains his motive.
Life is not always rosy for those who are in this kind of a place. And we took it upon ourselves to come and commune or hobnob with them to make sure that they understand that life is equally sweeter than they are seeing it.
It's smiling faces and happy children, as situations like this, which are clearly not isolated incidents, proves some Nigerians still go out of their way to make other people happy, whether they know them or not, especially this Christmas.
I'm sure those children must be very excited. Well, that's Network Africa. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Joker Rogers. Bye for now.